morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my ladies. Thank you for joining us today. We are honored that you are taking out some time in your day to listen to the Empowered Woman. And today I am so excited because I have the pleasure of having Alex Kubrak as a guest on our podcast. She's the very first one, so give her a hand. Woo! Woo! Alex is, so I met Alex, we used to work together years ago, and immediately we had this connection. And ever since then, Alex, she's been my spirit animal. You know, she's just one of those chicks that we could go 6 months without talking to each other, and we pick up the phone and it's like we never spent a day apart. So we just have that cool connection. So Alex, how about you introduce yourself, where you came from, what you're doing now, where you're going?
All of that. I know so many changes over the years. And like Marilyn said, I've had the pleasure of knowing her throughout my career. And she met me at a very young age in my career, in my very early 20s, and got to see all the bumps in the road that I went through and also helped guide me. I'll say, and like you said, I'll call it the high maintenance, low maintenance relationships where you have women, other people in your life that are there to support you. Don't need, you're not following up with them every day, checking on them, but when you need them, they're always available, always there, and happy to support you. So Marilyn's been somebody, again, throughout my career, those early years of frustration, learning the business world, making mistakes, who, was always encouraging to me, but also gave me really straight, super real feedback. Like, girl, cut that out. Like, you're causing yourself more trouble than it's worth. So find those people in your life. It'll really change your overall trajectory as well. So to talk a little bit about my career path, I started with Marilyn at Kubrak in a sales position, cutting my teeth, learning how to cold call. Again, had really good people around me. Tony Rugar, obviously, I have to mention, who were willing to take me on and kind of help, guide me, take all my energy, because I have a lot of energy. I can go about 50 different directions.
Oh.
No, God, no, but focus that energy and right towards, things that are going to help advance my career and ultimately, advance my money-making capability as a young person. So, I was thankful to start out to advance within Kubrak, within the Xerox family, obviously made it to sales manager. And right, what I learned at that stage, as someone who's high energy, likes control, type A personality, it is best for me to be a individual contributor, but I love to be a mentor to people who are learning as well. I do not make a good sales manager. Marilyn makes an incredible sales manager, is what we learned, because I don't give an inch, and it's not the best sides of my personality being brought out or what I can bring to other people as well. So after I moved on from what I learned at Xerox, I went into packaging for about 6.5 years. Really great market to be in, ever growing, can't recommend enough. Stayed with as an individual contributor in sales. And then life hits, right? So the journey of good old life comes and smacks you right in the face. So life hits you, you start thinking about starting a family, doing different things like that. And there's choices to be made. I'm not here to tell you you can have it all. I don't believe that. I think there are, you have to decide what's most important to you and build your life around that. And, for me, that's pillars of my family, my faith. I do like being an individual contributor. I making my own money. We'll talk a little bit when I had a little bit of a gap here and the change that I've now made into real estate. I never had to ask my husband for money before. He thinks it's hysterical. I'm like, can I get the card? He's like, oh, my credit card? Like, oh, did somebody not sell something yet this month? And I am, nope, like that's not going to stand, because I'm so used to doing what I want when I want, because I'm a bad lady. I make my own money. So those types of things. So making a career change, I think that's what I can probably be, most helpful to the ladies here on the podcast today, is making that change from a corporate career to more of an entrepreneurial style business. Being in sales, it is very entrepreneurial. Nobody's, always looking over your shoulder. You're making your own hours, you're going out fighting for new customers, doing things like that, but you still have that protective blanket of a corporation. So you're not handling the day to day. You're not editing your own videos. You're not really sourcing all the time all your own leads. You may have a nice fat base salary, benefits. The bennies are great. When you jump off the cliff and truly go fully into being a 1099 self-employed person, it's a shock to the system, absolutely. But there's also so much to gain on the other side of that, from a freedom perspective, from just the I'll find words from the pride that you get of being able to work for yourself, and the impact that you're having on people's lives as well. So my most recent change, I left the packaging industry and decided to go into real estate. And you go, why real estate, right? Like everyone's a real estate agent. You hear kind of all these different kind of mixed opinions of it. For me personally, it's always been my passion and kind of my hobby on the side. We do own rental properties. My parents have owned and flipped, so I've seen that from a really young age. Just my parents like doing hustling, just sweat equity. So I thought that was something that would be a really great benefit to my family. So we started that out while I still had a corporate position and just tested the waters, got a rental. Hey, honey, let me prove it to you, to my husband, right? Like, if we do this, here's what passive income looks like. Here's what this will look like overall for our family. And once I proved it out over a couple rentals, he said, okay, game on, keep doing that, right? Like the more of that you do, the better. My secondary love language, passive income. So let's keep doing as much of that as we can. So, and I felt so much more gratified doing that. And not just the money's great, right? We are 100% in it for the money, but the impact that we're having on people's lives as well. Our first renter, somebody who just moved to this country, establishing with his teaching role here on a work visa, and him and his family were so thankful for the home. They invite us in every year we go, and we do our yearly checks, change the batteries, smoke detectors, all those things. His wife makes us authentic desserts from their country, and they're just so happy to be here. And hey, and we're always like, hey, is there anything you need from us? They treat the place incredibly well. And now that he's here in the United States, he's actually going to move out of teaching and is beginning his certificates in IT. So he's going to elevate himself and his family, and that's all through finding stable housing and those types of resources around him. So again, total benefits that can't be quantified in your business account necessarily.
That's so cool. You don't hear people talk about that when they talk about real estate.
No, not at all.
I just love the fact that you recognize, because that's who you are, right? You want to have impact on people's lives. You've been like that ever since I met you. And it's so inspiring to me that you see that inside of it, because a lot of folks wouldn't. A lot of folks are just doing it for the money.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's, providing good, safe housing, helping people through different situations. And we're obviously benefiting as well. But, so that's really at my core mission. I have to tell you, if you go and look at, I have a Google page set up for reviews for selling real estate as well now. The comments that people leave me, it's not like, hey, Alex was great. They write me like books, like marathon books of what I did for them. And I'm in tears every time. Like, no one's ever said anything this nice to me before. Or if they did, it's like, oh, hey, thanks for helping us on our ROI for this piece of equipment. Like, no one cares. Like, you don't get the same level of gratification for like what you do. I always enjoyed my business relationships and like worked with really great people internally on the customer side, but like how you're impacting people's lives, it's the best thing ever. So
yeah, well, this is different. It's personal. It's at a personal level. You get to know those people, right? You're in their home.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, such a personal level, such new and better relationships. I feel much more connected to my community as well, because before being on the road, I was either regional, driving up to a number of miles per year, or on planes, trains, and automobiles, just getting everywhere and meeting with people. By the time I got back, my social battery, mine runs out. I do have a lot of energy, but mine it gives out. Like, I don't go 24/7. I know some guys that do, and like, God bless them. But when I get back, it's, if we're going out to hang out with friends, I'm just like quietly drinking my wine because I'm done. Like, I've done all I can do for the week. But now I have so much more time and energy to focus in on my friends. And again, I'm working and living in my community. And so that's just been a really big plus that I didn't see coming necessarily. And being connected, again, even just with our friends at just a more relatable level, like, do you want to talk about equipment? Like, probably not. So
Yeah.
I have such really great, really fierce advocates for me that I'm just getting referrals left and right. People are like, that's our girl, go call our girl. And I'm like, you guys, like, you're the best. Thank you.
Well, you're making an impact, and it shows.
Yeah.
And let's stick a pin in having more of you left over. I want to talk a little bit more about that, because I think there's probably one specific person in your life that you want to make sure you have enough time left over for that.
That's right.
So tell me about that. How do you think the difference between having a corporate job and doing what you're doing now impacts the time you get to spend with your baby girl?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so much more quality time now. I will tell you that I can be more present. The time frame that I'm working in each day has changed. People have, if you're truly working real estate, and again, there's people who sell 4 houses a year and people who sell 50. I'm gunning for 50. So I am working this as a full-time job. Your calendar shifts a little bit. 7 to 5, you're available more in the afternoons to evenings to people. So you're still working full hours, but just in a different way than what you may have been used to before. But I can be much more present with her, much more available to spend time with her. We still do have dates.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think you told me both of us were running a little bit late to get on this call, and you said it's because one of your clients texted you and said, hey, are you home? I'm stopping by in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Life happens. Life will absolutely come at you quick like that. And luckily, clients are great. They love the kids. She came in, talked to her. She has a couple grandbabies the same age, but there's so much more flexibility in this type of entrepreneurial role than there was in a corporate perspective. There was a lot of pizzas getting eaten at my house during the week. Like, I'm like phoning in pizzas from Chicago because I'm not there for dinner. And, there's only so long that could last. Could I have kept doing it? Yep, I could have. But was it worth it? And was it a lot of money to give up? Yep. But in my view, it was worth taking a step back temporarily to then launch forward in a much larger way. So, that changing season, you can feel definitely like a slight bit of a failure to start. You're like, oh my God, I just gave up, these things, and it's going to take a while for this to get, up and running and, repeatable and all those things. And, financially, you need to be in a position before you do this as well. Like, this was, that's something that you have to really consider and talk about with your partner or whoever, if you have children in particular. So, it's definitely a very gratifying change to have made. So just that quality time with her has certainly improved, just the ability to have that presence. So, and you can't get these years back when they're young. I mean, she's a toddler. This is where you can make a really big impact on her life as well. I want to make money. I don't need all the money in the world though today. I'll get it. We got some time. And so to me, time is the only thing that I can't get back. That's finite, however much of it God gives us. And so we got to use it to the best of our ability.
Man, I wish that I would have done something like that when mine was little, because I was the opposite.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have any entrepreneurial influences in my life at that time. And, I came from a family that just worked hard.
Yeah.
Everybody worked hard, right?
Yeah.
Everybody made okay money. When I grew up, we had the things we needed. We always had a roof over our head. We always had enough food to eat, right? But there was not the hunger for more, or even the know-how, right? Because generationally, their parents weren't like that, and their parents and their parents, right? So the generational cycle was, you just work a blue collar job or an office job, and you make enough money to make ends meet to where you're not living paycheck to paycheck. But going on a lavish vacation, that was for the rich. Wearing brand name clothes and brand name shoes, that was for rich people.
Mm-hmm.
So when we had our daughter, we both were working, but it was the same exact cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in an administrative role. You were there.
Yeah.
You saw it.
Hustling girl. You were one of the hardest workers.
I was
Absolutely.
working 75 to 80,
Mhm.
80 hours a week
Yeah.
to make a salary that never changed. And it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Paid the bills, right?
Right. Oh,
But
absolutely.
it
Yeah.
was just okay.
Mm-hmm.
And again, same with you, right? Life circumstances changed that trajectory for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was scary as hell, but decided to take a risk
Yeah.
and move over to the dark side in sales.
I know. I told you, I was like, come over. I have
About five
influenced
minutes to
every girl, like every one of my girlfriends. I'm like, you need to do sales because I have had so many uh, bright, intelligent, incredibly hardworking. They're on that admin side or they're the expert, right? And
Mhm.
it's who sales is calling every time. Like, hey, like we need to get the product expert in, and they're not getting comp the way that they need to get comp. I'm like,
Mm,
give it a shot. The worst thing that happens is you go back and you be the expert. You go back and be the head of the office, right? Whatever that is, right? Like that's the worst thing that can happen. Like
mhm.
I'm not like a jumpy and don't look kind of person. I look over the edge, looks pretty good, and then I'll make the leap kind of thing. And I've had multiple friends go into sales, and it's been absolutely life changing. And I love seeing that because it's variable comp. You get what you
Yeah,
put in, you get out.
that's
And
right.
so if you're
You're in charge of your own destiny. You control
absolutely,
your own destiny. If
yep,
you want to work your butt off,
yep,
you're gonna reap the rewards of that,
that's right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to sit back and work 20 hours a week,
Yeah,
you're also going to see the rewards of that. And
yeah, mm-hmm.
it's not going to be, stellar
Right,
compensation, which
that's right,
again also might be fine for you. And that
right.
might be the life you're looking for,
Oh,
is a life
absolutely.
where you put in 20 to 30 hours a week
Mm-hmm.
and you make that, 60 or $70,000.
Right. Yeah, and that's okay too. I think that's an important thing to say to moms out there too. Like, I'm not advocating like go as hard as you can, buy 200 rental properties. Those YouTube videos, those exist. Go find them. That's what they specialize in. I'm saying, hey, finding something that you're passionate about, that makes the money that you need to make for your particular situation and gives you the freedoms that you need, to feel holistically, in your life that you're filling all your buckets. That's the win. That's the biggest
Yeah.
win. Like the
Yeah.
handbag is super cool. And if you can get it and that's what you want, that's great. If it's not, and you want to go take your family on a trip or just have more time together at the park, that's awesome too. So
Yeah.
success does look different to everyone and in different ways. And to your point earlier, about the people around you and just, what you've seen and how that impacts your future and your trajectory, find people who will stretch you. So in real
Yeah.
estate, I've
Yes.
aligned myself. Yes, right. Just stretching you. You just
Yes.
got to find somebody who will stretch you. And when people see that you genuinely want to do something, they will invest their time into you.
Hmm.
They have no problem giving you their time. I'm talking like the highest of the high rollers have no problem giving you their time because they see, a genuine attitude to want to do better. So find those people in your life. Mine is the leader of the real estate team I'm a part of, Darren Mancuso over at Mancuso Homes, because he owns many multiple real rental properties. They do renovations. They've been successful in real estate. So as I'm learning and building a rental portfolio, that's when I was calling like, hey, here's the deal. If I put this together, what do we think about, the return on investment, the cash on cash return, all those things, because he's done it so many more times. So he's not always going to give me the answer. He's going to ask questions to help me get to the conclusions, right? And that's what you need in your life. And also, if something looks like really screwed up, he's going to be like no bones, girl, don't do that. Like you're
Yeah,
going to like
well,
mess it
yeah,
up.
and I
And
love
that's
that,
cool
right?
too.
That's leadership at its finest because
Right.
he's asking you the questions so that next time you begin to ask yourself some of those questions.
Right. Exactly. So
Yep.
when you're
And then
new,
if you
you
hit a
don't know what
roadblock,
you don't know.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Totally. So
yeah,
find those people, and you have to be willing to take some risks. Not saying, don't go mortgage the house, don't go do crazy things, but
yeah.
just you have to be willing to take some risks and get outside your comfort zone. And this for me is still, there's a lot of things I don't know. There's a lot of things that I do well for my sales background that I do at a very high level
Hmm.
comparatively, but there's things that I don't know, and I have to own that and just say, hey, here's here's my questions, and work through those things. But it's stretching me, and the more I do it, the more comfortable I get at it until I can master it. And so just give yourself that space to do that. Don't feel silly about it. Don't feel like, oh, I'm not. You are where you are in the process, and the longer you do it, the more of an expert that you become in anything. Jim just worked through public speaking recently. He gave a big fall workshop speech. He worked with, I think she's the CISO of HP, Joanna Berkey, coached him for 2 months straight on, hey, here's how presentations work. Hey, let's talk through your delivery, that sort of thing, because it looks so natural when she does it.
Yeah.
Because she's been doing it for so many years. You're like, how does somebody do that? Years of practice, years of experience. And so people will meet you where you are and help bring you to that next level. So I can't stress that enough, to surround yourself with those people. And we've been that person to each other, right?
Yeah.
And that's so important.
We have. I think it's so important. As women, we can feel when a season is beginning to change. Not physically, right? But
yes,
when
I feel like I do in my bones. It's
that's true. The older I get, I definitely feel the season change. But when we can feel when something's beginning to shift, we have to start leaning into that more.
Right. Absolutely.
Lean into it. And you know what? If you don't know what you're doing, that's okay. Nobody knows what they're doing when they're starting something new.
No. No idea.
It's just like people say, oh, I'm going to wait until I'm ready to have kids, or I'm going to wait until I'm ready to get married. You're never ready.
Never.
You're never ready to have kids. You're never ready to buy the house. You're never ready to invest.
Yep.
Right. But if you have something that's continuing to tug on you, and you keep feeling that thing, that desire to do that thing, whether it's start that business, whether it's, go to school, whatever the thing is, go for that next promotion.
Yeah.
If it keeps tugging on you, listen to it.
Absolutely.
Listen to it.
God sending the lifeboat, right?
That's
the one they always talk about at church. You got the helicopter, we got lifeboats, and it's like, I sent everybody.
I sent everybody.
I gave you everything I got. Like, let's make a move. Yeah.
So I just think it's so important to do that. And then when you do, you got to find that mentor, right? If you need a coach, get a coach. If you need an accountability partner, get an accountability partner. If you need to take some classes, do that. Invest in yourself. Don't be afraid. It took me 40 years of my life to invest in myself. I never went to school.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
40 years, I finally invested in myself. And it completely changed my life. And it wasn't a lot of money.
Yeah.
I just think that's so important, because when you do that, you begin to learn what your actual purpose is. We can talk about making money all day long.
Right.
And you, just like you said, you could flip houses, you could go at a rapid rate, you could find the YouTube videos for that kind of stuff, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But if you are actually looking to move forward in your life with purpose, there's a little bit more inner work that needs to be done.
There is.
And what greater joy to be able to make money while accomplishing your purpose in life. You're doing that.
Yeah.
You're literally living that.
I'm doing it. And Jim is like, you've never been happier. I've never seen, just what people are saying. Right, again, the client who was just here in my foyer just a few minutes ago, and he's just in the back room. He's like, oh my God, after shift, he's like, oh my God. This is just amazing. What's happening for her and her family, the fact that you were able to help with that and, help put this together. And, it's just so great. And I think as moms though, so, there may be moms who are career moms listening to this, or moms that maybe have given their life to their children too, right? That's been their higher purpose. And sometimes we need to be able to, we only identify as that, right? We don't separate ourselves. So if you're having trouble from that perspective, think of it as, what can I do in my life that is going to benefit and elevate my children from a personal perspective, from your relationship? And again, right, we're talking about making money all day, but are there things that you want to give them? Do you want to be able to contribute college or trade school? I love trade school. I will say great things about that all day long, or family trips, or, be able to set them up for their future as well. So again, just how can you impact your family? If you feel like family is your number one call and you don't want to go that hard, hey, I just want to have a good, steady job, that sort of thing. Again, that's great too. But how are your choices impacting your overall life? Because it's a sum of everything that you've done is where you are today.
Oh, that's so powerful. And this whole empowered movement, that's literally what it's all about. It's about being the best version of yourself
Mm-hmm.
for the people who you care about.
Right.
And that includes you first.
Yes, right. And that's where I know I got hung up early on with the baby and COVID and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, who am I? I
Yeah.
don't, my whole world has just shifted. How am I gonna, find my way through this and that sort of thing? And you'll go back to what you know. In crisis, it's fight, flight, freeze, and people just kind of go back to what they know, and you kind of just put your head in the sand kind of thing. And so you have to sit down, really think about it and work on yourself and say, what do I really want? Like, what am I doing this for? And
Mm-hmm.
and those types of things. And again, there's some luxury in that as well, if you can afford to have those thoughts. And if you aren't in that position yet, you need to figure out how to get yourself there. If you need to work your way out of debt, those types of, if there's other things that you feel are holding you back, you need to take a look at those and pull those apart and help you, move on to that next stage. Identify what your issues are and tackle those, whatever they may be. And we talked about that a long time ago. And I don't know if that would make the podcast, but we talked about financials. I mean, years ago when I was still at ComDoc, and you came up with your plan on how you were going to handle some things that, some outstanding items that you needed to do. And you
Mm-hmm.
got there, and that's, fantastic. But you just got to make a plan and
You
plan to
do.
execute on it. So
You do. And you were always my accountability partner
mhm.
because I trust.
Unknowingly.
Yeah, unknowingly, but I trusted you, right?
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
you gotta find a
Hmm.
couple people,
Yeah,
at least one in your life
yeah,
that's not in your immediate family.
right. You got to
There's,
have a little space there, right?
there's got to be a little
Yep,
separation there,
yep.
that you wholeheartedly trust,
Hmm.
and you can sit down with them and have a glass of wine and actually spill your guts. I mean,
Right.
like, this is what I'm feeling, and this, I need some help.
Yeah,
Or this is the plan I came up with, and I need you to keep my butt in line.
right.
Right?
Totally. Yeah,
And they're not going to go run and tell everybody,
right,
because not all business is meant to be shared.
right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's also where like the separate, yeah, just having, that little bit of separation as well,
Mm-hmm.
not invest in like what's going on in your personal daily family life kind of thing. Oh, did you hear? There's none of that. It's not coming up at Thanksgiving dinner. These are, people who are going to help you advocate in different areas. And again, these people may be, one of them's in your business life, you got somebody in your church life, all that kind of stuff, whatever is important to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another good mom friend, somebody who's in a similar position, and, kind of like those daily walks, bring that person along with you. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so important.
I love it. Well, I want to thank you again for coming on and sharing your
Of
story.
course.
You are such an inspiration to women out there who might be thinking about a change, or maybe something doesn't feel right in their life today. Just to hear about other women who have taken a risk and they've made a change and they've just went for it.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
It did. Yeah. It's working out well.
Working
And,
out. And
and,
again, what's the worst thing that could happen? You
I go back to a full sales
go
job.
back.
I go back to corporate. Is that the worst thing?
The
But
worst
once you find your thing, you're gonna fight to keep it. If you're
thing.
truly passionate about it, I'm fighting to not go back. You're not gonna be able to catch me on a Outlook confirmed Zoom call anytime soon.
Okay. All right, I love it. Well, Alex, how can people find you? We've got to make sure people know how to find you.
Sure. So you can find me. I'm on Instagram, Alexandra Kubrak Realtor, or by email, alex@mancusohomes.com. Always happy to talk to anyone who needs assistance or anything like that. So
In buying or selling?
buying or selling, or again, and please call Marilyn. Her services are fantastic, and she can help guide you as well. But if you need a reference to her, I'm happy to provide that too. So
Oh, thank you so much.
yeah,
All right. Well, ladies, thank you for spending some time with us today. As always, we appreciate you choosing us, and we will talk to you on the next episode.
okay,
Bye.
bye.